Alex Hormozi might be the most popular entrepreneur and creator in the business space.
Alex, I appreciate you.
And everything he did to blow up, you can apply too, which is great because he's racked up hundreds of millions of views. His last book launch made $100 million in like 7 hours, and he's helped an incredible amount of people with his well-spoken wisdom.
Ancient Greeks would say that the gods always envied the mortals because their life was so ephemeral. They had so much chance that could happen to them, right? Where the gods always knew that they weren't going to die and it was completely guaranteed. And so what we do is we basically have this wish that if it actually came true, we would hate it even more than our current circumstance. If you knew that you were going to succeed, it wouldn't be worth doing to begin with.
But more than the vanity metrics, Alex has actually helped bunch of people to start businesses and achieve financial freedom. And I'm guessing a lot of you watching this really respect him. So today we're breaking down 5 principles to how Alex cracked content creation to blow up and become someone that millions of people wanted to follow. There are more than 5 principles, don't get me wrong, but we'll start small, apply what we learn, and then cover the rest down the line. If you're new here, I'm Ben. This is where we break down how people blow up, the underlying principles. See, because the old way was hacks and tricks and trends, but the new way is becoming someone that others want to follow, because that person can succeed regardless of what the trends are at a given point in time. I don't have a PhD, but I'm a nerd and I study these people nonstop, and I'll break it down for you in an interesting way. And if it matters to you, I've built audiences to hundreds of thousands of followers across other social media platforms, and I lead growth at a YC startup as my day job. Enough about me though, let's talk about Alex. Here we go. One of the biggest issues that people struggle with when it comes to content creation is how daunting it feels. And you don't really know what people will like and what they won't, so you're hesitant to put a ton of effort into something that might go nowhere. But Alex has a system to counter this. It looks like this.
Twitter overall was just a meta experiment. Like, I tweet stuff all day long just as it comes up, and when people find something interesting, we repurpose the hell out of it. They become Instagram posts, they become shorts, and if we have 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 that do really well around a specific topic, then that becomes a long YouTube video. And so all of those are just micro experiments. And I think if you can create a place where you have low risk to experiment, you should lean into that as much as possible.
So when you have an idea for content, start with the smallest and easiest platform possible. That's your testing ground. From there, you see what works and then double down on the ones that do into longer form pieces of content. And you don't have to start with Twitter like Alex did. LinkedIn and short form can work really well too. But pick the one that your target audience is on. If you're making business content, LinkedIn will probably be better than, say, TikTok. But if you're making baking content, then Reels or TikTok will be better than LinkedIn. I'll note here too with Twitter, you do kind of have to have enough followers to get your initial post shown to a certain number of people. And so that can be hard if you're just starting from scratch. Versus a platform like TikTok or Reels will show it to more people initially, even with 0 followers. But then you put out those feelers and the top performing posts become YouTube longs, become articles, become books, become podcasts. And because a lot of these platforms, especially the short form ones, are very forgiving and have short attention spans, oftentimes this can look like posting the exact same content, but just with a slightly different hook, like 8 different times. Sometimes all it takes is the right hook to make it blow up. Then from there, you take that and use it in other places. So lesson 1 is use low commitment platforms as a testing ground, then scale from there. Alex is a business owner, which means that in addition to obsessing over his LTV to CAC ratio or coming up with $1 million offers, his content isn't just for shits and giggles. There is a purpose behind it. He wants it to lead to something. And instead of just making cool content and then slapping a CTA at the end, he starts with the end in mind. I'll show you a clip of his main content guy, Caleb Ralston, talking about this.
I have 4 questions that I love to ask people to help them kind of figure out their brand journey. It starts from the end goal in mind. And so it's like, what do I want to have happen? And then the next question is, what would I have to be known for in order for that to happen? The next question is, what would I have to do in order to be known for that? The next question takes you to today. What would I have to learn in order to do the things to then be known for that thing to accomplish what I want? A lot of people want to amplify their brand, but they don't know what their brand is and they don't know where they're wanting to go with it. And so it becomes this like aimless wandering thing, kind of like Alice in Wonderland when she's at the divide and it's like, where do you want to go? Well, I'm not really sure. Cool. Either way will take you there.
So if you're making content as part of a bigger goal, start with the end in mind. What do you want people to do? and then work backwards from there. And note that this informs your content, but also all the messaging and CTAs around your profile or your brand. It should all be driving people to that specific action that you want them to take. And note that sometimes this also means you have to build a skill set first, because people don't necessarily trust you right away to teach them how to do a thing unless you have built the skill set yourself. So lesson 2 is start with the end goal in mind and work backwards from there for your content. That last point brings up an interesting idea. In order for people to take action on your advice, they have to believe that you can actually get them that result. But they also have to like part of what you offer. In the classic book Influence by Robert Cialdini, he talks about liking as one of the 6 factors of influence. If you're interested, here's the other 5. And the more parts of you that they like, the better. For example, I like Elon Musk's work ethic and business advice. But I don't like the fact that he's had 11 different kids with 3 different women. So I'll take his business and work ethic advice and then leave the rest. But the more of these elements that you have, the more people will respect you and the more fervently they will follow you. In short, if you want others to follow you, you have to become someone that they'll respect. And Alex hits this on a ton of different levels. He's a great businessman. He's super healthy and goes to the gym. He has a great relationship with his wife. He seems to have a good sense of humor. And he treats other people with honesty and respect, which is why so many people like working with him. And to illustrate the reverse, you also see this in people who've achieved a lot of monetary success, but people don't really respect them, and you can tell. And I'm not trying to disparage anyone. I don't like doing that, and I think there's enough of that on the internet already. But just for the sake of example, I think one person here who's a good example is Tai Lopez. Like, he's made a bunch of money, and you could say he's successful in that realm, but it seems like on average, people don't really respect him. So lesson 4 is become someone that your target audience respects. And to be clear, you shouldn't do this as like a business tactic. It isn't change yourself to become someone else that others like, but who you no longer like. That's silly. But ideally, who your target audience is and who you want to be as a person are very similar. And so if you become someone who you respect, they will also respect you as well. Which is pretty cool when you think about it. Like, the advice for business is just become a better person, become someone that you would respect. Okay, moving on, one of the things you'll quickly learn about Alex is he gives almost all of his content away for free. He's got videos for free, he's got courses for free. His books, for a long time, he would sell for $1 or $2, like literally as low as he could charge. And you wonder, how can he do this? It's because he is a genius at business models and at offers. He's found a business model that doesn't depend on him having to charge for content. And he literally says this. I am going to read from his first book, $100 Million Offers. And here's what he talks about how he makes money giving away content for free. 1, provide value at no cost far in excess of what the rest of the marketplace charges for. 2, have entrepreneurs use materials that actually work and make money helping more folks. 3, earn the trust of the hyper-executor business owners who use the frameworks to scale their businesses. And then 4, this is the key part, invest in those businesses to make more impact at scale while helping everyone else for free. And that's what he does with his company Acquisition.com. He invests in great businesses. And the way he attracts people who want to work with him, who want him to invest, is by giving away all of this content for free. And in his first book, really in all of his content, he talks about how a huge part of his success was finding business models and finding offers that allow you to separate yourself from the competition. Peter Thiel actually says the same thing, talking about how you want to aim to build a monopoly.
If you're a founder or entrepreneur, what you want to aim for is monopoly. You want to aim to build a company that is one of a kind and that it's so far differentiated from the competition that it's not even competing. A world of perfect competition is a world where all the profits are competed away. If you want to compete like crazy, then you should just open a restaurant in Chicago.
You're not just competing against your peers, but you're putting yourself in an entirely different category. So the takeaway is to find a different business model that allows you to outcompete competitors because you're playing a totally different game. And of course, here is a bunch of examples. Alex is known for the grind, for working hard.
I get happier about the harder it is because I know that no one else will follow.
It's a selection effect.
And I think if you can shift from this is hard to no one else will be able to do this, then it flips from being this thing that you're like, oh, poor me, to oh, poor everyone else who's going to have to fucking try.
But as it turns out, even he puts a lot of thought into how to optimize for fun. Watch this clip.
For example, on our team, I was like, Caleb was the first person who did video with me that I ever enjoyed. And so I was like, why? And then somebody else came in and I was like, I'm not having as much fun in these sessions. And I'd like to recreate the conditions of success. And so how can I make it so that I
operationalize fun?
Exactly. And
the most Alex Hormozy thing I've ever heard. Hey guys, let's operationalize fun for a moment.
This is the part that everyone misses, is that you then have to look with a microscope and say, what are all the little things that Caleb does that other people don't do? And so it turned out when he was behind the camera, he would be nodding his head. And if I said a banger line, he would stick his thumb out. And so I'd get these many positive reinforcement loops while I was recording. And then as soon as I was done, he would come over and be like, dude, that was fire. And then he would take out his phone and have all of these really interesting follow-ups because I could see that he was actively listening and he had thoughts. And so then when we retrained the team, we said, hey, when Alex is talking, nod your head slowly so he sees that you're actively listening. If he says something cool, do one of these, give him a thumbs up. And then all of a sudden, my recording sessions without Caleb became as good as my recording sessions with Caleb.
So he operationalizes how to make things more enjoyable because he knows that that will lead to more longevity. And if you are watching this video, you are probably someone who over-indexes on working hard, on pushing through. And so for people like us, learning to enjoy the journey is a key skill. And it's a very important one because over the long run, consistency wins over just some sort of short burst. And to make this a little bit more concrete, here are some examples of how to make this happen. You'll want to adapt these, obviously, for your own circumstances, but practicing little things like this, and remember, you're not going to get it right away, but practicing these and building the skill of them will lead to more longevity, more consistency. So lesson 5, optimize for enjoyability because it leads to consistency. As a summary, here are the 5 lessons. Each of these is something that with a little time and effort can be applied to your own life and to your own growth, and it's well worth it. I'll see you next time.